2 Rudra Samhita. This chapter contains 149 sections. 2.1 Shrishtikand. The sages express their desire of knowing about the manifestation of Shiva and Uma, their marriage and their life as a householder, and the other aspects of Shiva's divinity. Sitaji narrated the story of Narad's attachment and lust, how they were ultimately destroyed. He also narrated of Narad's deep desire to know about Shiva. 2.2 Victory of Narada over Kama. Once upon a time a Narad was performing a penance in the cave of Himalaya mountain. Indra, becoming fearful, sent Kamdev to obstruct his penance. But Kamadeva was unsuccessful in his attempt, as the place where Narada was doing penance was the same place where Lord Shiva did penance. After the completion of his penance, Narada became arrogant that he had defeated Kamadeva. He went to Kailash mountain and narrated about his feat to Lord Shiva. Narada was naive not to realize the fact had happened only because of the divine power of Shiva. Lord Shiva listened to his arrogant statement. He advised Narada not to reveal this secret to anybody. But Narada went to Brahmaloka and boasted about his feat to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma listened to his boisterous statements and advised him not to reveal this to anybody. But Narada was not satisfied. He wanted to give the news of his achievement to Lord Vishnu. So, he went to Lord Vishnu's abode and boasted about his feat of defeating Kamdeva. Lord Vishnu, with a desire to subdue his inflated ego, manifested his illusionary power with the blessings of Lord Shiva. 2.3 Narada's ego subdued. While Narada was returning from Vaikuntha Loka, he saw a beautiful city. This city was ruled by a king named Shilnidhi. The king had a daughter and her Swayamvar was being organized. Numerous kings had arrived to take part in that Swayamvar. Narada curiously entered the place where Swayamvar was being held. The king requested Narada to study the lines of the palm of the princess. Narada was infatuated by the princess' beauty. He returned back to Lord Vishnu and expressed his desire of marrying that princess. He also requested Vishnuji to make him as handsome as himself, Vishnu. Lord Vishnu made Narada's whole body very beautiful except his face, which he made like a monkey. Narada, being unaware of this, happily went back to Swayamvar's site. Narada sat among the kings, his face resembling like a monkey. Lord Vishnu too was present there. The princess saw Narad, whose face was looking like a monkey. She was amused. Ultimately, she put the garland around the neck of Lord Vishnu and went to Vaikuntha Loka along with him. Some of the Shivas Gana too were present there in the guise of a Brahmin. Their names were Marad Ganas. When they saw Narada to see the reflection of his face in the water. When Narada saw his face in the water, he saw that he was looking like a monkey. He became very furious and cursed the Marad Ganas to be born as demons, even though being Brahmins by birth. Furious Narada then went to Lord Vishnu and cursed him. You too would suffer due to separation from your wife during your incarnation of Ram, and the monkey would come to your help. 2.4 Vishnu preaches Narad. Lord Vishnu accepted Narada's curse without any hesitation. He then removed the illusionary powers by which Narada's mind was influenced. Now, Narada regretted his actions. Lord Vishnu told Narada that everything happened because of Shiva's divine illusions. You did not pay heed to his advice, and hence Shiva, by his illusions, has taught you a lesson. Shiva is beyond the reach of the three basic qualities sattva, raju, and tamas. Therefore you must worship and contemplate on the name of Shiva. All of your sins will be destroyed. After preaching Narada, Lord Vishnu vanished from his sight. Narada then descended down to earth, and while having darshan of numerous Shivalingas, he saw two of the Marad Ganas, whom he had cursed. He told both of them that they would take birth from a giantess's womb, but their father would be sages. He also told them that they would become very famous due to their devotion. Narad went to Lord Brahma and requested him to tell about the divinity of Shiva. 2.5 Brahmaji preaches Narad. On Narad's request, Brahmaji said, during the period of Mahapralaya, final annihilation, nothing exists except Shiva. The power which Shiva manifested from his own self came to be known as Ambika. This Ambika is understood to be the cause of the whole world as well as the nature. Lord Shiva then created a Shivaloka, which is known as Kashi. It is the abode of Shiva and Parvati. A man who makes a pilgrimages of Kashi attains salvation. 2.6 The origin of Vishnu. Lord Shiva felt the need of somebody who could look after the creation in his absence, as he wanted to retire along with Ambika at Kashi. The unified energy of Shiva and Ambika resulted into a radiant physical form of a child. The child asked Shiva about his name and purpose of his being. Lord Shiva named the child as Vishnu and advised him to do a penance which would help him to attain all kinds of accomplishment. He then offered him the knowledge of Vedas through his breath. For this reason it has been said, Yaja Nishvasadam Veda, meaning, whose exhaled air is Veda. Vishnu followed the instruction of Shiva and did a tremendous penance for 12 years, but still he was not successful in having a darshan of Lord Shiva for the second time. He became worried. He heard a heavenly voice instructing him to do further penance. Vishnu then recommenced his penance. It continued for many days. By the blessings of Shiva, numerous fountain of streams erupted from his body, which spread in all directions in the form of Brahma. Vishnuji was very pleased to see that stream. He went to sleep in that streams, due to which he also came to be known as Narayan, one who has his abode in the water. After that, all the 5 elements manifested from his self. The 3 qualities, Salva, Rajus and Tamas, as well as the ego manifested from his body. Similarly, 5 Tan mantras, subtle form of matter, Panchabuddha, sky water, air, fire and earth, and ultimately 5 sense organs and 5 organs of action also manifested from. Altogether 24 types of element manifested from the body of Sri Vishnu. 2.7 Origin of Brahmaji. Brahmaji told Narad. While Vishnuji was sleeping in the water, a lotus flower manifested from the navel of Vishnu according to the wish of Shiva. On that lotus was seated with 4 heads. I did not see anything except that lotus flower. I had a desire to know about my identity. So I entered into the hollow tubular stalk of that lotus flower, but I was not able to find the source. I returned back to the same place. Suddenly I heard a voice which instructed me to do penance. I did a tremendous penance for 12 years with a desire to know about my creator. Being pleased with me, Lord Vishnu manifested before me within his Chaturbhuj form, but I could not identify him, being influenced by the illusionary power of Shiva. I quarreled with him. 2.8 Dispute between Brahmaji and Vishnuji. I asked him as to who he was. Vishnuji replied that he was the fulfiller of all of his desires. But I replied to him that I only was the creator, nurturer, and the supreme soul of this world. Vishnuji became angry and said that undoubtedly I, Brahma, was the creator of this world, but he, Vishnu, was the one who had created me, Brahma, and the whole world. Vishnuji also ordered me to take his refuge and promised to protect me. But being an ignorant, I did not believe him. A fierce battle was fought between both of us. A Shiva Linga manifested between us to end the battle. We requested that Shiva Linga to show its real identity. That Shiva Linga had destroyed our pride. 2.9 Shabda Brahma. We heard a sound Om. We became curious to know the origin of that sound. Vishnuji saw a letter, A, towards the south of that Shiva Linga. He also saw the letters U and M center towards the north of the Shiva Linga and in its center respectively. He also saw the mantra Om, which was dazzling like a sundae. There was no beginning and end to this mantra Om. As we were making efforts to know about its origin, suddenly Shiva appeared in the form of a sage. He gave us the knowledge regarding Om. He also revealed to us that I originated from the letter A. Vishnuji originated from letter U, and Shiva himself originated from letter M. The letter A signifies creation, U signifies nurturement, and M signifies salvation. The 3 letters A, V, and M also symbolizes the basic causes of creation. A or Brahma also symbolizes the semen, U or Vishnu symbolizes the vagina, and the sound of Om is Maheshvar, the combined sound of A, U, and M. All the three united, from which manifested a golden egg. This golden egg remained submerged in the water for 1,000 years. The Almighty then cut that egg into two halves, from which appeared heaven and earth. We also saw the divine beauty of Maheshvar. 2.10 Shabda Brahmatanu. Then we saw all the vowels and consonants emanating from the physique of Mahadeva. Vishnuji saw the 48 letters within Omkar, which in fact were the two following mantras, Tat Purushe Vidyamahi Mahadavai Dhimahi, Tano Rudra Prakadayat, and Tatsavitar Varaniam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prakadayat. After that, we also received the Mahamrityunjay mantras like Om Jum Sh, Ram Rim Jum Sh, and Trayambakam Yajame. After that, we received the 5-lettered mantra Om Nama Shiva, the Chintamani mantra Kshamyom, the Dakshinamurti mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurte Mayam Megam Pure YCHC Cheche Svaha. At last, we received the great mantra Tatvamasi. Vishnuji was so enchanted by this mantra that he started chanting this mantra. We then prayed to Shiva, the creator, the nurturer, and the destroyer. 2.11 Shiva enlightens Brahma and Vishnu. Shiva became very pleased with both of us. He preached us the contents of Veda. Shiva told Vishnuji about the methods by which his, Shiva's, worship could be done. He revealed to us that Vishnuji actually had manifested from the left portion of his Shiva's body and myself from the right portion of his body. He also blessed us that he would manifest his incarnation of Rudra from our body, and also that the purpose of this incarnation would be to do annihilation. Lord Shiva revealed to us that his consort Uma was in fact Mother Nature, and her power in the incarnation of Sarasvati would be my consort. Lakshmi, who would also manifest from the nature, would be the consort of Vishnu. 2.12 Age of Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra. Brahmaji told Narada. Lord Shiva informed us that my day consists of 4,000 eras, and similarly my night too consists of 4,000 eras. Since a month consists of 30 days, and a year consists of 12 months. In this way my age was fixed to be of 100 years. One day of Vishnu is equivalent to 1 year of Brahma. Vishnu's age too was fixed to be of 100 years. The day of Rudra is equivalent to 1 year of Vishnu, and his age also was fixed to be of 100 years. 2.13 The methods of worshipping Shiva. On the request of the sages, Sataji retold the preaching which had been narrated by Brahmaji to Narad. Describing the method of Shiva worship, he says, a devotee should get up early in the morning and contemplate on Shiva, who gives benediction. After that, he should finish his daily routing work and perform rituals like Sandhya and Vandana, etc. After that, he should worship Shivalinga according to Vedic rites like Panchapakar, Sodashapakar, etc. He should also perform Abhisika with various offerings. At last, the should beg pardon for his sins. 2.14 Acquiring of Shiva lingas by the deity. Once, Brahmaji went to Kshirssagar, the abode of Vishnu, accompanied by the deities, and asked Lord Vishnu how a man could be liberated from his sorrows. Lord Vishnu told them that this objective could be met by worshipping Shivalinga. All the deities then prayed to Lord Shiva, who after becoming pleased instructed Vishwakarma to construct a Shivalinga for them. Vishwakarma then made a Shivalinga for Kuber, a Shivalinga of yellow diamond for Dharmaraj, a Shivalinga of dark-colored diamond for Varun, a Shivalinga of indrained diamond for Vishnu, and a golden Shivalinga for Brahmaji. Similarly, Vishwadeva was given a Shivalinga made up of silver, the Ashwini Kumars were given Shivalinga made up of bronze, Lakshmi was given a Shivalinga made up of crystal, sphatic. Sun god was given a Shivalinga made of copper, and the moon was given a Shivalinga made of pearl. 2.15 Methods of worshipping Shivalinga. Brahmaji has described the following methods for the worship of Shivalinga. After performing the rituals like Akaman and Pranayam, a devotee, should apply a tripanda on his forehead and wear a rudraksh on his body. After the study of Shanti Path and the performance of Devatanamaskar, he should make a resolution if he has any wish to be fulfilled. Then the worship of Shivalinga should be done with the help of Mahimastavan and offering flowers to the Shivalinga. The purity of the mantras should be maintained while chanting them. 2.16 The virtues of worshipping Shiva methodically. It has been mentioned in the Shivapuran that making offerings in the form of lotus, shatapatra, shankapushpi, the leaves of wood apple tree, helps a man in attaining wealth and prosperity. For becoming free from disease, 50 lotus flowers should be offered to the Shivalinga. Mrityunjaya jap should be chanted for 5 lakh times for all types of accomplishment. 1 lakh datra fruits should be offered for long life, worldly pleasure, as well as for attaining salvation. 2.17 The origin of Kailash and Vaikuntha. Brahmaji revealed to Narad how the process of creation commenced. After Lord Shiva vanished from our sight, I transformed myself into the appearance of a swan, and Vishnuji transformed his appearance into that of a boar with the purpose of commencing the process of creation. First of all, I created the water. I poured a palmful of water into it, and an egg manifested which consisted of all the 24 elements. This egg was very enormous in size, which made me confused. I did penance for 12 years. Vishnuji appeared before me. I requested him to bring that egg to consciousness. Vishnuji entered into that egg. As a result of this, Kailash mountain and all the 7 worlds came into existence. After that, the static living things were created, which symbolized the dark quality, tamagun. After that, I created 4-footed animals like cows and ox, etc. In spite of these creations, I was not satisfied, so I again went into meditation. As a result, the deities were created, which symbolized the virtuous quality, sataguna. Once again, I meditated, and the human species came into existence, which symbolized the medium quality, rajaguna. With the permission of Lord Shiva, I then created spirits like ghosts, etc. After that, I created my 5 Manasputras, Sanak, Sanadon, etc. But they were so ascetic and detached from the world that they showed their disinclination in contributing in the process of creation. This made me angry, tears rolled down from my eyes. With the permission of Vishnuji, I did a tremendous penance to have a darshan of Lord Shiva. 2.18 The emergence of Rudra avatar. Brahmaji said to Narad, when I accomplished my penance, Lord Shiva manifested in his incarnation of Rudra from in between the eyebrows. Half of his body resembled like that of a woman, Ardhanarishwar. I requested him help me in my creational activities. Rudra created his hosts, Rudragana, who resembled like him. I requested him to create the mortals, to which he laughed and said that he liberated mortals from their sorrow, so how could he fasten them with bondages? Rudra requested me to create the mortals, and then he vanished. 2.19 Creation. Preaching Narad on the essence of Shivatattva, Brahmaji said, with the permission of Shiva, I created the 5 basic elements from which the matter is made, and also all types of arts. I also created the time. Despite all these creations, I was not satisfied. I created sage Marichi for my eyes, sage Pragu for my heart, sage Angira for my head, sage Pulaha for my Vainvayu, sage Pulatsia for my Yudhanvaya, sage Vashisht for my Samanvayu, sage Krata for my Apanvayu, sage Atri for my ear, Daksha Prajapati for my vital Airyu, Narad manifested for my lap. Sage Kardam and Dharma manifested from my shadow. Then I divided my body into 2 parts, and from each of the 2 parts, Manu and Shatrupa manifested respectively. Both of them got married, and in this way commenced the conjugal creation. Privrata and Atanpad were the 2 sons born to them. Shatrupa also gave birth to 3 daughters whose names were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Sage Ruchi was married to Akuti, sage Kardam was married to Devahuti, and Daksha Prajapati was married to Prasuti. Sage Yugya and Dakshana were born to sage Ruchi and Akuti. Numerous daughters were born to sage Kardam and Devahuti. Similarly, 24 daughters were born to Daksha and Prasuti. Daksha married 13 of his daughters to Dharma. The rest of his daughters were married to sages like Pulasatya, etc. All the three worlds are inhabited by the progenies of these sages. The same Daksha Prajapati had 60 daughters in another kalpa who were married to sages like Kashyap, etc. In this kalpa, Sati was one of his daughters who was married to Lord Shiva. Sati, being distressed by the disrespect sown by her father Daksha to her husband Shiva, had given up her life by jumping into the sacrificial fire. In her next birth, she was born as Parvati and was again married to Shiva. This way, I created this world with the permission of Shiva. 2.20 Gananiti, the Brahman's son. Naraji asked Lord Brahma, when did Lord Shiva make Kailash as his abode, and what was the reason of friendship between Shivaji and Kabura? Brahmaji narrated the following story. There used to live a Brahmin by the name Yagyudat in Kampalianagar, who was proficient in the performance of Somyajya. He had a son named Gananiti. Though he was a scholar, but at the same time he was irreligious and kept bad company. He used to indulge in evil activities like gambling. His father, Yagyudat, was unaware of his evil activities. Whenever he asked his wife about Gananiti habits and conduct, his wife used to tell lies and praised the conduct of Ganamiti. Thus Ganamiti's condition became worse day by days. Yagyudat married Gananiti with a girl belonging to a well-to-do family, but his habits had not changed. His mother tried her best to make him understand, but it was of no avail. One day Yagyudat saw a gambler wearing his ring. He asked him about that ring. The gambler told him that his son, Gananadu, had lost it to him in the gamble. He also informed him that he had also lost numerous ornaments and other properties in the gamble. Yagyudat became very angry. He married with another woman after abandoning his wife and son. 2.21 Gananiti's salvation. When Ganati came to know about his father's second marriage, he moved to another place, cursing his fate. He kept on walking till he became tired. He sat under a tree and started thinking about his further course of action. His heart was full of remorse, and he repented for his past actions. As his mind was engrossed in such kind of thoughts, he saw some villages going towards temple. They were carrying prasad in their hands. Since Gananiti was hungry, he followed them, and after reaching the temple he sat at the main gate of the temple. And the night, after the accomplishment of the pujan, the devotees went to sleep. Gananiti entered the premise, went to sleep. Gananiti entered the premise of the temple. The flame of the lamp was gradually becoming dim, as the result of which he could not see properly. He tore some pieces of cloth he was wearing and made a thick wick and put it in the lamp. Now the light was sufficient to enable him to see whatever had been offered to the deity. He carried as much fruits and other eatables as possible and tried to sneak out from the temple. Unfortunately, he dashed against a devotee, woke up and chased him, shouting, "Thief, thief!" Hearing his cries, all the other devotees woke up and caught Gananiti. He was given such a nice thrashing that proved to be fatal, and as a result Gananiti died. The Yamadats arrived to take his soul to Yamloka. But right then, the Shivaganas arrived and prevented the Yamadutas from carrying his soul. They informed the Yamadutas that Gananiti was entitled for Shivaloka, as he had devoutly observed the Shivaratri fast, had listened to the tales of Shiva, and lighted up the lamp which was about to go off. The Shivaganas also informed the Yamadutas that, in his next birth, Ganamiti would become the king of Kalinga. In this way Gananiti attained to Shivaloka. In his next birth he was born as a son of King Arundam, the king of Kalinga. He was named as Dhamma. When he was still young, his father Arundam dies. So Dhamma succeeded him as the king of Kalinga. He renovated all the Shiva temple, which came under his jurisdiction, and passed a stricture which made the worship of Lord Shiva compulsory for all the subjects. By the blessings of Lord Shiva, he became the king of Alkapuri and was known as Kabura. 2.22 Shiva blesses Gananiti. During the Padma Kalpa, Sage Vishrawa was born to Sage Pulasatya, the Manasputra of Lord Brahma. Vishwa's son, Vishwawan ruled over Alkapuri for a long time. This city was constructed by the deity Vishwakarma. Vishwawan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. During the Kalpa named Megawahan, Gananidhi did a tremendous penance for 10 lakh years. As a result of this penance, his body was reduced to skeleton. Lord Shiva became very pleased with him and appeared before him, accompanied by his consort Parvati. He told Gananidhi to ask for any boon which will be fulfilled. When Gananidhi heard Shiva's voice, he opened his eyes, but his eyes were dazzled by the sheer radiance of Lord Shiva. He requested Shiva to restore the power of sight in his eyes. Shiva blessed him, as a result of which he was now able to see the divine sight of Lord Shiva. But he became jealous of Uma, who was present by the side of Shiva. He was wondering as to who is this lady, dearer to Shiva than him. He glanced cruelly towards her. As a result of this, his left eye lost the power of sight. Parvati asked Lord Shiva as to why was this sage, Gananidhi, looking cruelly towards her. Shiva replied, "He is none other than your son. He is looking at you in astonishment as he is bewildered at the feats achieved your penance." Lord Shiva then blessed Gananidhi to become the king of the kings. He also assured him that he will always be present in the vicinity of Alkapuri. After being blessed by Shiva, Gananidhi also made salutations to Parvati. Parvati said, "Since you have looked at me angrily, your hatred and enmity, bear, towards me was clearly visible. For this reason you will be known as Kubers." After blessings, Gananidhi both Shiva and Parvati to a place called Vaishveshwar. Kailash mountain was situated near Alkanagri. 2.23 Shiva goes to Kailash. When Rudra, the Ansha of the Almighty Brahma, heard about the tremendous penance Kabura was doing, he started to play his damaru, drum, the sound of which reached all the three worlds. Rudra then reached the place where Kabura was doing penance. Hearing the sound of his damaru, all the deities including Brahma, Vishnu and Sadashya appeared before him. When Kabura saw Lord Rudra before himself, he offered his seat to him and worshipped him. He also worshipped the other deities. Rudra was so pleased with Kabura that he decided to stay near him. He called Vishwakarma and ordered him to conduct his abode at Kailash mountain so that he could live in the vicinity of his great devotee Kabura. Kabura constructed a beautiful city as per his instruction. An auspicious moment was chosen and Shiva went to live at Kailash mountain. He was coronated by the deities. Brahmaji in this way told Narada about Shiva's departure to Kailash mountain. Sati Kund. In the Sati Kund of Rudra Samhita, Narada inquires Lord Brahma about the reason why Lord Shiva married Sati, in spite of being a yogi. He also requested Brahmaji to tell how Sati became the daughter of Daksha Prajapati and in her next birth as Uma the daughter of Himalaya. How did Uma get Lord Shiva as her husband? Asked Narada. Lord Brahma narrated the following tale. A girl by the name of Sandhya manifested from my being. I was amazed by her heavenly beauty. Right then a divine entity appeared before me, whose beauty could not have been matched even by the deities. He was Kamadeva, the god of love. He influenced me to such an extent that I forgot that Sandhya was my daughter and got infatuated by her. When Rudra came to know about my lust for Sandhya, he admonished me and ridiculed about my character. I felt ashamed. But I also became jealous of Rudra. I decided to influence him with the power of infatuation, but I was unsuccessful in my attempts. I remembered Lord Vishnu, and he tried to make me understand about the futility of my attempts, as according to him, Vishnu, Rudra was beyond the reach of any human emotions. But I instructed my son, Daksha, to help in the procreation of a girl child from the womb of Ashwanavarini. Thus Sati was born. Sati later on became famous of Uma and got Rudra as her husband on account of her tremendous penance. Though Rudra was free from all kinds of attachment, but still he became so influenced by the desire for procreation that he married with Sati. He enjoyed a blissful married life for a very long time. Rudra father-in-law, Daksha in his arrogance started condemning his son-in-law Rudra. Once, Daksha organized a grand yajna ceremony. He gave invitation to everybody except Rudra and Uma. Despite of Rudra's disinclination to allow Sati to go to her father's yajna, she insisted, and ultimately she was successful in convincing Rudra to allow her to go. When Sati reached there, she was not given respect by her father Daksha. Not only this, Daksha made fun of Rudra. Feeling dishonored, Sati gave up her life by jumping into the sacrificial fire. When Rudra got the news of Sati's death, he became extremely furious. To take revenge, he created Veerbhadra from his locks of hair. Veerbhadra went to Daksha place and destroyed his ablation site. He severed Daksha's head. All the deities became afraid and prayed to Rudra to have mercy. Rudra then brought back Daksha to life and helped him the accomplished of the still incomplete yajna. The site where Sati had died later on became famous as Jwalamukhi Devi. The same Sati in her next birth was born as Parvati to Himalaya. By her tremendous penance, she again got Lord Shiva as her husband. After that, Lord Brahma told Narada about the manifestation of Kama, the god of love. 2.2 The manifestation of Kama. When I became infatuated by the divine beauty of Sandhya, my infatuation resulted into the manifestation of my another Manasputra named Kamadeva. His beauty and qualities were incomparable. His manifestation not only inflicted me with lust, but also my other Manasputras became filled up with lust. Kamadeva made salutations to me and asked as to what was his name and purpose of being. I gave him the name Pushpavan and instructed him to help in the process of procreation. I also blessed him that nobody would remain unaffected by his influence, including myself and Vishnuji. 2.25 Brahma curses Kamadeva. After being named by Lord Brahma as Pushpavan, Kamadeva was also given various names as Manmath, Kama, Madan, etc. by sages like Marich, etc. They also said to him that he would be married to Rithi, the daughter of Daksha. Kamadeva himself was infatuated with the beauty of Sandhya. To test the authenticity of Brahma's boon, Kamadeva took out his 5 arrows and wanted to examine their power. The names of their arrows were Harshan, Rakhan, Mohan, Shoshan, and Maran. These arrows had effect on all the people present there, including Lord Brahma and Sandhya. Getting affected by those arrows, 49 types of thoughts emerged in Brahma's mind. Similarly, flaws were clearly visible in Sandhya's behavior. Kamdeva became convinced of his powers and capabilities. But Dharma, the Manasputra of Brahma, was saddened by this event. He prayed to Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva saw the condition of Brahmaji, he became amused and made fun of him and his Manasputras. Everybody was ashamed. Due to his shame, Brahmaji perspired profusely. From his perspiration were created the Pitraganas. Similarly, from the perspiration of Daksha Prajapati was created the most beautiful woman Rithi. Brahmaji was very angry with Kamadeva because of whom he was ridiculed by Shiva. He cursed him and said, "You would be charred to death by the arrow of Shiva." Kamadeva became very scarred and said that he was only testing the authenticity of his boon and he had no other evil intention. He also requested Brahmaji not to curse him. Feeling pity on him, Brahmaji consoled him that, although he would definitely get killed by the arrow of Shiva's sight, yet he would regain his physical body as soon as Shiva gets married. Lord Brahma then went to Brahmaloka. 2.26 Kama married Rithi. Daksha requested Kamadeva to get married with his daughter, Rithi. Kamadeva was very pleased at this proposal. Both Kamadeva and Rithi got married. 2.27 Sandhya does penance. Sandhya was very ashamed of herself. For the atonement of her sin, she decided to do penance. She went to Chandrabhaga mountain and commenced her tremendous penance. Lord Brahma then instructed Vashishtha to go to her in disguise and help in getting her initiated. He went to Chandrabhaga mountain in the guise of a Brahmin and gave the mantra, Om Namah Shankaraya Om, to her, and also told her the methods of doing worship. Then he returned back. 2.28 Sandhya receives a boon from Shiva. After sage Vashishtha, who was disguised as Brahmin, went away, Sandhay did penance as per his instructions. After the passing of one Kshatriyuga, she had a darshan of Lord Shiva. Shiva, being pleased by her devotion, asked her to demand anything. Sandhya said, "Nobody should have lust towards the member of his own clan. There should be no virtuous and chaste woman greater than me in this whole world. Anybody other than my husband who looks at me with evil intentions become an impotent man." Lord Shiva blessed her by saying, "Evamastu." Lord Shiva then categorized the lifespan of a man into 4 parts: childhood, adolescence, youth, and old age. He then told her that it was written in her destiny to die by burning. He also advised her to go and surrender her body in the sacrificial fire of the yajna, performed by Medhatithi. Before jumping into the sacrificial fire, just remember anybody whom you want as your husband, and your wish would be fulfilled in your next birth, when you would take birth as a daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Your father Daksha Prajapati would marry his 2720 daughter to Moon, but the Moon would have affection only towards Rohini, and rest of his wives would be neglected by him. For this reason, he would be cursed by Daksha. All the deities would take your refuge. After blessing Sandhya in the way, Lord Shiva went back to Kailash mountain. 2.29 Sandhya's birth and her marriage with sage Vashishtha. When Lord Shiva went away, Sandhya got up and went to the place where Medhatithi was performing his yajna. She made a mental resolution to have that Brahmin as her husband, who in reality was Vashishtha, and then entered into the sacrificial fire. The fire of the yajna burned her body and carried it to the solar system, where it was divided by the sun god into 3 parts and established in his chariot. The names of these 3 parts were Pradasandhya, Madhyanha Sandhya, and Sayam Sandhya. Sandhya vital force was absorbed by Lord Shiva. When the yajna ended, the sages were surprised to see the presence of a girl who was radiating like gold in the sacrificial fire. They took out that girl child from that yajna kunda. The sages then brought up the girl with love and affection. She was named Arundhati. When she attained the age of 5, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maha arrived and married her with Vashishtha. Arundhati enjoyed a happy life and became famous for her chastity. 2.30 Appearance of spring season, Vasant Ritu. Brahmaji told Narada that since the day he was humiliated by Shiva, he had grudges against him and wanted to take revenge. "I wanted to subdue the arrogance of Shiva by proving it to him that even he could be binded by attachment. I asked Daksha and sages like Marich as to how this feat could be achieved. As a result, Rithi and Kama manifested. I instructed Kama to influence Shiva by his powers. Kama agreed, but requested me to create a suitably divine woman for Shiva. Myself and Daksha became worried, and during that time we exhaled fragrant air through our nostrils, which resulted into the creation of spring season. The spring season was looking divinely beautiful in her physical form. I handed over her to Kama, and thus all the 3 of them, spring season, Kama, and Rithi, went to influence Lord Shiva, who was in his deep state of meditation. 2.31 The creation of Marganas and Kama's futile attempts. Kama tried his best to bring Lord Shiva under his influence. All the living creatures were spellbound by his powers except Lord Shiva and Ganesha. Kama returned back to Brahmaji and told him about his unsuccessful attempts. Brahmaji sighed heavily. From his sighs were created the ferocious Ganas. These Ganas were shouting, "Eri Mare kill kill." They tried to attack Lord Brahma. Kama then pacified the anger of these Ganas. These Ganas were named as Mar. Lord Brahma then sent these Ganas to Shiva along with Kama and Rithi to give it a second try. Once again their attempts went futile. All of them returned to Lord Brahma and expressed their inability in influencing Shiva. 2.32 Dialogue between Brahma and Vishnu. Lord Brahma then remembered Vishnuji, who appeared instantaneously. Brahmaji revealed about his intentions to him. Lord Vishnu told him that it was foolishness on his part to have enmity towards Shiva. But when Lord Brahma kept on insisting, he revealed to him that this could be only achieved by the blessings of Goddess Parvati. Lord Vishnu said, If she becomes pleased with you, then she could help you in achieving your goal by taking birth in a human form and having Shiva as her husband. Instruct Daksha to do penance so that Parvati takes birth in his house. 2.33 Goddess Durga. After Lord Vishnu went away, Lord Brahma started meditating on the form of Goddess Durga. She appeared before him. Lord Brahma said, "I need your help in biting Shiva with your Maya." Goddess Durga told Brahmaji that Lord Shiva in his incarnation of Rudra was beyond the reach of any kind of Maya. But when Brahmaji kept on insisting, then Goddess Durga agreed to help him in his effort. She said, "I will take birth as the daughter of Daksha Prajapati and try to please him by my penance." After assuring Lord Brahma, she vanished. Lord Brahma too went to his abode. 2.34 Daksha worships Devi. With the permission of Lord Brahma, Daksha did penance for 3,000 years. As a result, Goddess Jagdamba appeared before him. She blessed him by saying that she would take birth as his daughter and by her tremendous penance would attain Rudra as her husband. But she warned Daksha that if he showed any kind of disrespect to her, she would end her life. 2.35 Daksha curses Narad. With the permission of Lord Brahma, Daksha Prajapati created many things just by his mental resolution. But finding the absence of any kind of evolution and development in them, he went to Brahmaji to take his advice. Brahmaji instructed him to create by the help of copulation. Daksha Prajapati then married Asikti, the daughter of Panchajan. 10,000 sons, including Hariasya, were born to them, but all of them were directed by Narada to follow the path of salvation. After that, Daksha married Panchajani, from whom were born thousands of sons, but all of them followed the path of salvation and were not interested in creation. Narada was instructed in changing their mind. Daksha Prajapati became very furious with Narada and cursed him to become an eternal wandered. He said, "You will never remain at a place for long." 2.36 Birth of Sati. When Lord Brahma came to know about Daksha Prajapati's anger towards Narad, he went to him and cooled him down. Subsequently, 60 daughters were born to Daksha. He married his 10 daughters with Dharma, 13 daughters with Kasyap, 27 daughters with Moon, 2 daughters with Bhutandras, 2 daughters with Krishashva, and the remaining 6 daughters with Garuda. Daksha meditated on the form of Bhagavati and was instructed by her to do penance. Daksha did a tremendous penance and thus was born Uma to Daksha and Varani. Uma was brought up with great love and affection. Uma used to worship Lord Shiva by singing devotional songs in his praise. 2.37 Sati does penance. When Sati attained marriageable age, Daksha started worrying. Sati understood the reason behind her father's worried. She went to her mother Varani and expressed her desire of marrying Lord Shiva. Her mother made all the arrangements so that Sati could worship Shiva without any problem. Sati commenced her austerity named Nandavrata, which continued for a year. Being impressed by her austerities, all the deities descended down from heaven to see her. 2.38 Brahmaji makes a request to Lord Shiva. All the deities and the sages requested Lord Shiva to get married, but Shiva did not want to curtail his freedom by getting married. When the deities insisted, he told them to find a suitable match for him. Brahma and Vishnu told Shiva about the tremendous penance Uma was doing to him, Shiva, as her husband. They also requested him have to go to her, Uma, and fulfill her desire. Lord Shiva agreed. 2.39 Shiva blesses Uma with a boon. After Uma had accomplished her penance named Nandavrat, Lord Shiva appeared before her and asked her to demand anything. Uma, because of her shyness, could not say anything. Lord Shiva knew about her desire, so he said, "You will have me as your husband." Uma's face beamed with joy, but she shyly requested Lord Shiva to keep this proposal before Daksha. Shiva agreed and said, "Tathastu." He then went back to his abode, Kailash. Sati narrated the whole story to her parents. Both of them became very happy with this news. Lord Shiva then instructed Brahmaji to put a formal proposal to Daksha regarding his marriage with Sati. Lord Brahma went and informed Daksha about Lord Shiva's proposal. Daksha was very happy at the proposal. Brahma then came back to Lord Shiva. 2.40 Shiva married Sati. Lord Shiva was anxiously waiting for his arrival. When Lord Brahma arrived, he curiously asked about Daksha's response. When Lord Brahma told him about Daksha's approval of the marriage, Shiva was very pleased at this. Lord Shiva proceeded towards Daksha's abode on the auspicious moment of Falgun, Krishna Paksha, and on the 13th day of Falguni Nakshatra. Sitting on the back of Nandi and accompanied by all the deities including Lord Brahma, Vishnuji, he reached Daksha's residence. The marriage procession was received by Daksha with great respect. Shiva narrated Sati in an auspicious lagna. Being pleased, all the deities eulogized Shiva and danced in joy. 2.41 Lord Brahma faces the wrath of Shiva. Daksha presented invaluable things to his daughter, Sati, as dowry. Similarly, the Brahmins were presented with large quantities of wealth. Lord Brahma was enchanted by the divine beauty of Sati. With a desire to see her face, he put logs of wood which were wet into the Yagni Kunda and poured ghee on them. As a result, the atmosphere was filled up with smoke. Now Brahma removed the piece of cloth which covered her face. He became infatuated by her beauty. When Lord Shiva discovered about his evil intentions, he ran towards him menacingly. Lord Shiva wanted to kill him, but the deities prayed to spare his life. Lord Vishnu eulogized and worshipped him, and only then his anger was subdued. Thus Lord Brahma was forgiven by Shiva. 2.42 Deformed face of Brahma. Though Lord Shiva had forgiven Brahmaji, yet he instructed him to apologize by bowing down his head. Brahma did as he was instructed. Lord Shiva then established on his head. Brahmaji became ashamed and asked as to how could he atone for his sins. Lord Shiva instructed Brahmaji that by worshipping him he could appropriately atone for his sins. He then instructed Brahma to go to the earth where he would be worshipped as Rudra. Shiva said, "Your worship would help the Brahmin in accomplishing every kinds of work. Taking lessons from you people would not dare to have extramarital affairs." 2.43 Shiva Shakti as husband and wife. After reaching Kailash mountain, Lord Shiva instructed all his Ganas, attendants, not to disturb them, Shiva and Shakti. When all the Ganas went away, Shiva and Shakti enjoyed a blissful union for 25 Deva years. 2.44 Shiva Shakti depart for Himalaya. When the rainy season arrived, Shakti requested Shiva to make a residence in such a place so that they could not be disturbed by rain, etc. Lord Shiva smiled and said, "Dear Sati, the clouds and rain will not dare to disturb if you are present by my side, no matter wherever we live, even if we live on the peaks of Himalayas." Sati requested him to make Himalaya as his abode. Lord Shiva agreed, and both of them shifted to their new abode at Himalaya, where they lived for 10,000 Deva years. 2.45 The importance of devotion in Kali Yuga. Sati requested Lord Shiva to enlighten her mind by giving discourses. Shiva revealed to her the importance of devotion in the Kali Yuga. He said that the value of knowledge, Gyan, and asceticism, Vairagya, would diminish to the extent of extinction in the era of Kali, and only devotion would help a man in attaining liberation. Lord Shiva said, "I had burnt the time, Kala, for the benefit of the devotees with my third eye. For the sake of my devotees, I even abandoned Ravana without any partiality. For the welfare of my devotees, I even instructed Nandi to punish sages Vyas, who was exiled out of Kashi." Shiva preached on many topics like devotion, types of devotion, yantra, mantra, scriptures, etc. 2.46 Sati Stout. Devarshi Narad, who was listening to the divine tales of Shiva, narrated by Lord Brahma with rapt attention, requested him to describe about other characteristics of Shiva. Brahmaji said, "Once, Lord Shiva, accompanied by Sati, arrived at Dandakaranya, where Sri Ram was wandering in search of Sita, who had been abducted by Ravana. After walking for some time, Lord Shiva saw Sri Ram and Laxman. Lord Shiva made salutations to Sri Ram. Sati was surprised at Shiva's behaviors. She asked Lord Shiva about the reason he made salutations to Sri Ram. Shiva told Sati that he, Sri Ram, was his deity and an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But Sati was not satisfied by this reply. She wanted to test whether Sri Ram was really an incarnation of Lord Vishnu or not. She disguised herself as Sita and went to Sri Ram. But Sri Ram recognized her real identity and addressed her as mother. Sati was ashamed but asked Sri Ram as to why did Shiva made salutations to her. Sri Ram narrated the following story. 2.47 Shiva does not see Sati as his consort. Once, Lord Shiva requested Vishwakarma to construct a grand palace and a magnificent throne for him. When everything was ready, Shiva invited all the deities for the crowning ceremony of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was requested to be seated on the throne and was worshipped by all the deities including Shiva himself. He assured Lord Vishnu that all of his Vishnus, incarnations would be shown respected by his, Shiva's, devotees, Ram, and the incarnation of Vishnu. Sati was now completely satisfied. She was also ashamed of herself that she had doubted Shiva's words. She went to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva stopped looking at Sati as her consort because she had personified herself as Mother Sita. This fact was even corroborated by a heavenly voice. Now Sati's heart was filled up with sorrows. She followed disenchanted Shiva to the Kailash mountain, where he commenced his meditation and went into samadhi. She sat down without saying a word. When Lord Shiva came out from his samadhi, he saw her stire sitting there. He felt pity on her and drove away her guilt and sorrows by giving discourses. 2.48 Daksha's animosity towards Shiva. Once, the sages organized a yajna at Prayaga, which was attended by all the deities. Lord Shiva too had come, accompanied by Sati. He was eulogized and worshipped by all the deities and the sages. Daksha arrived there and after making salutations to Lord Brahma sat down without showing any kind of respect to Shiva. After that, all the deities and the sages came and made salutations to Daksha, but Shiva sat where he was sitting. The ignorant Daksha cursed Shiva that from now onwards his, Shiva's, share would not be kept in the yajna. At this Nandi, the vehicle of Shiva became very angry and cursed Daksha that from today onwards the Brahmins would fail to understand the essence of Vedas. Lord Shiva then pacified Nandi's anger and both of them went back to their abode. Daksha too went back to his place and started having hatred towards Shiva. 2.49 Daksha performs yajna. Daksha organized a yajna at Kanakal in which everybody except Shiva and Sati were invited. Sage Dadichi arrived and not finding the seat for Shiva went back, saying that it was impossible to accomplish a yajna without Shiva. Then Daksha commenced the yajna with the assistance of other sages who were present there. 2.50 Sati's arrival at the oblation site. When Sati saw all the deities going happily, she became curious to know where they were going. She requested her companion to ask the moon as to where he was going in such a cheerful mood. The moon told her companion that they were going to attend the yajna ceremony being organized by Daksha. Sati was very surprised at this information. She went to Lord Shiva and sought his permission to go there. Lord Shiva then told Sati that her father did not invite them because of the animosity he was having towards him, Shiva. Sati became very furious and decided to go there to know about the reason why Daksha was performing the yajna without inviting her husband Shiva. Shiva sent Nandi and other Rudraganas as her escorts. 2.51 Sati's dishonor. When Sati reached where Daksha was performing his yajna, she met her mother and sisters. They met her with all the respect and honor. But Daksha did not even cast a glance at her. Imitating him, many other people did the same. But Sati, not bothering about the disrespect shown to her, made salutations to both her parents. When she reached near the yajna mandap, she saw that shares of all the deities was there except that of Shiva. She became furious and asked her father as to why was Shiva not invited to the yajna. Daksha then made fun of Shiva and cursed him. This made her more angry, and she declared that she would give up her life in everybody's presence. After the declaration, her mind was engrossed by the thoughts of Shiva. 2.52 Sati gives up her life. Sati then sat in Padmasana and closed her yes. By her yogic powers, she united with Shiva and her lifeless body fell into the Yajna. This incident shocked everybody and the Rudraganas furiously picked up their weapons. Right then a heavenly voice was heard. "O mean Daksha, share on you. You're a sinner and a fool. Now you are certain to face the wrath of Shiva. Because of your act, the deities too will have to suffer." Daksha became scarred. He immediately eulogizing Lord Vishnu. 2.53 Manifestation of Virbharta and Mahakali. When Nandi informed Shiva about Sati's death, he became very furious. He angrily pulled out a locks of hair and dashed it against the mountain, which got divided into two parts. From one part manifested the valiant Virbharta and from the other part Mahakali. Virbhadra and Mahakali were instructed by Shiva to destroy the yajna of Daksha and to kill all the people who were present during the time of Sati's death, including the deities and the sages. 2.54 Virbhadra and Kali assemble their army. After getting the instructions from Lord Shiva, Virbhadra marched with a huge army which included the mighty Shivaganas like Dakini, Bhairav, and Kapalish, etc. Goddess Kali to joined him with her army which consisted of all her 9 incarnations like Katyayani, etc. As the army marched on, numerous auspicious signs were visible. 2.55 Daksha experiences inauspicious signs. On the other hand, Daksha experienced many inauspicious signs. His left eye, left army, and left thigh started throbbing. He saw the vultures flying over his head. He heard the sounds of jackals howling. 2.56 Lord Vishnu preaches Daksha. Daksha then prayed to Lord Vishnu to rescue him from the imminent wrath of Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu preached Daksha and said, "Daksha, since you have committed the greatest sin by dishonoring Shiva and Sati, even I cannot prevent the calamities which you are certain to face." As Lord Vishnu was preaching Daksha, suddenly there was a loud commotion. The army of Virbhadra had arrived. Daksha was frightened and again prayed to Vishnu to save his life. Lord Vishnu again expressed his helplessness and told him that because of him all the deities too would have to suffer. 2.57 Daksha gets his head severed. A terrible battle was fought between the armies of Virbhadra and the deities. The deities got defeated and fled away. They went to Lord Vishnu and sought his help. Lord Vishnu decided to fight on the side of the deities. The battle recommenced for the second time. Lord Vishnu having a dual fight with Virbhadra and the deities were fighting against his army. Suddenly everybody heard a heavenly voice which said that Virbhadra was invincible. Hearing this, Lord Vishnu and Brahmaji went to their respective abodes. Daksha ran for his life and hid himself behind the adder where the yajna was being performed. But Virbhadra pulled him out from there and severed his head. He then threw his head in the Agnikunda. After this he returned back to Kailash accompanied by his army. 2.58 Contention between Shiva and Dadichi. Narad, who was listening to the divine tales of Shiva with rapt attention, was very curious to know about the reasons why Lord Vishnu attended a yajna where Shiva was not invited, and why did he fight a battle against Virbhadra despite knowing about his invincibility. Lord Brahma told him that all this happened due to the curse of sage Dadichi. In the ancient times, there used to live a king named Shiva, who was a great friend of sage Dadichi. Due to some reasons, both of them developed animosity towards each other. Dadichi considered himself superior because of being a Brahmin. On the other hand, Shiva considered himself superior on account of his wealth. The dispute took a worse turn and Dadichi punched him on his head. As a result, Shiva felt down unconscious. When he regained his consciousness, he attained sage Dadichi with his weapon named Vajra, which injured Dadichi. Dadichi sought the help of Shukrakarya. Shukrakarya healed his wounds by his mantras. He also taught Dadichi the Mahamrityunjay mantra. Dadichi then did a tremendous penance to please Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appeared before him and blessed him with 3 boons. They were: 1. His bones would become as hard as lightning, Vajra. 2. He would not be killed. 3. He would never be humiliated. Armed with these 3 boons, Sage Dadichi again went to fight Shiva. He kicked him. In return, Shiva too attacked him with his weapon named Vajra, but it did not have any effect on Dadichi as his bones had become as hard as lightning. King Shiva did a tremendous penance to please Lord Vishnu. Vishnu revealed to him that Dadichi had become immortal because of the blessings of Lord Shiva, but assured him that he would certainly help him in defeating Dadichi. 2.59 Battle between Vishnu and Dadichi. Lord Vishnu then visited the hermitage of Sage Dadichi, disguised as a Brahmin. On being asked by Dadichi about the purpose of his arrival, he said that he had come with a desire of a boon on his heart. Sage Dadichi, by his yogic power, came to know about the real identity of a Brahmin. He told that he had been caught. Lord Vishnu was ashamed. Lord Vishnu then went back to Shiva and instructed him to go to Sage Dadichi and act as if he had accepted his superiority. Shiva went to Sage Dadichi and did as he was instructed to do, but Dadichi did not believe his words. Now Lord Vishnu became angry and tried to kill him by his Sudarshan chakra, but he was not successful, as the chakra, which was given to him by Lord Shiva himself, was not willing to harm a devotee of Shiva. Lord Vishnu then tried to kill Dadichi by shooting volley of arrows. The deities too attacked with their weapon. Sage Dadichi threw a handful of kusha grass, initiated with mantras towards them, which destroyed all the weapons of the deities. In the meantime, Lord Brahma arrived on the scene accompanied by Shiva. He told the deities that it was futile to fight with Dadichi as he was invincible, due to the boon given by Lord Shiva. Ultimately, King Shiva begged his forgiveness for his offense. Dadichi forgave him, but cursed Vishnu, including all the deities, that they would be burnt to ashes by the wrath of Rudra. This was the reason why all the deities and Lord Vishnu attended the yajna, organized by Daksha, and got defeated by Veerbhadra. 2.60 The deities go to Lord Shiva. The deities, after being defeated by Veerbhadra, went to Brahmaloka and narrated everything about the destruction of Daksha's yajna and also how his head was severed by Veerbhadra. Brahmaji became very sad. To bring Daksha back to life and to accomplish the still unfinished yajna, he went to Lord Vishnu to take his help. All the deities accompanies him. Lord Vishnu told them that it was wrong on the part of Daksha to have shown disrespect to Shiva. The deities were wrong to support him. Lord Vishnu then went to Kailash mountain, accompanied by Lord Brahma and all the other deities. All of them eulogized and worshipped Shiva. They also requested him to bring Daksha back to life. 2.61 Daksha becomes alive. Lord Shiva became very pleased and agreed to make Daksha alive. All of them went to Kanakal, the place where Daksha had organized the yajna ceremony. Veerbhadra too accompanied them. When they reached the site, Lord Shiva could not hold his laughter after seeing the destruction of the site. Anyway, he joined the head of a goat to the torso of Daksha's body and made him alive. He also compensated for all the losses which had been caused by the destruction. All the deities became very pleased and they eulogized Shiva. 2.62 Daksha organizes yajna once again. Becoming pleased by the invocation and eulogy of the deities, Lord Shiva preached Daksha in the following way. The person who has the right knowledge, jnani, is the supreme among all human beings. An action which is performed in one's ignorance and jealousy does not liberate a man from his world bondages. Daksha then accomplished his yajna singing the praise of Lord Shiva. He also gave lots of donation to the Brahmins. Everybody returned to their respective houses being fully satisfied. Sati, the daughter of Daksha, was reborn as Gauri, the daughter of Himalaya and Maha. By her tremendous penance, she again had Lord Shiva as her husband. 2.63 Parvatkand, Himalaya marries Maha. Narada requests Lord Brahma to shed light on the birth of Maha, and also too she was married with Himalaya. Brahmaji said,